Welcome to Signature TV News. I'm Charles Pius. In the headlines, consultant cardiologist unveils treatments for high BP. Popular Nollywood actor Junior Pope laid to rest in Ukehe, Enugu State. Abuja High Court turns down bail application by Binance executive. On the foreign scene, World Health Organization raises concerns over lack of essential supplies in Gaza hospitals. And in sports, FIFA President Infantino wages war against racism in football. Details in a moment. A professor of medicine and consultant cardiologist at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Professor Emmanuel Ejim, has unveiled a pioneering treatment approach for pulmonary hypertension. Ejim said the condition, which is often mistaken for heart failure, can lead to sudden death, particularly among women aged between 30 and 45. The groundbreaking revelation is contained in his 204th inaugural lecture held at the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. Here is a special report by Signature TV. At the 204th inaugural lecture of the University of Nigeria, themed "The Other High BP, which looks like heart failure but also causes sudden death," Professor Emmanuel Chukwudi Ejim, Professor of Medicine, Consultant Cardiologists, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, identified pulmonary hypertension, also known as CTAF, as a prevalent and deadly disease among women aged 30 to 45. He emphasized that risk factors include obesity, physical inactivity, chest pain, and rapid breathing.
We'll just try to create awareness about the existence of another hypertension that people don't even think about. So nobody bothers to measure it because it doesn't seem to matter to people, but it kills people. So in my area, I know it's not uncommon. But some people say it is rare, but it's not rare.
So what are the symptoms? So when individuals have pulmonary hypertension, when they come to us, what do they complain about? They have progressive breathlessness, meaning that today the person may become breathless if he wants to move from here to the back of the building. But the next moment, he may become breathless while trying to walk out from here to the outside. They could have chest pain or chest pressure. This is not common in heart failure. They may have dizziness or fainting attacks. It's also not common in heart failure, but heart failure patients, if they have heart block and have fainting. Then they have a fast pulse or a pounding heart. It's also seen in some cases of heart failure. Then fatigue. Then dependent swelling. The legs may start swelling if the person is standing, or the back may start swelling if the person is lying down. Then noisy breathing, the type of noise that asthmatic patients make that is whistling in nature. Those who have pulmonary hypertension oftentimes come with those symptoms.
Professor Chukwudi also mentioned Viagra as one of the medications used to treat this form of high blood pressure in women.
No, Viagra is a treatment. Viagra has different uses. One of the uses is for treatment of pulmonary hypertension, but not at the same dose used for sex enhancement. There's a dose of it, small dose that we use to reduce pulmonary blood. It's in the literature, it's everywhere in textbooks.
Other professors at the events praised Professor Manuel's groundbreaking work and underscored the significance of his findings.
The lecture is very important because we've been losing lots of patients because of undiagnosed pulmonary hypertension. What everybody knows is the normal systemic hypertension, but this lecturer has been able to expose and also let us know about the existence of these pulmonary hypertension and the way it can be discovered and managed properly. And through that, he has saved lots of lives. So it's a very good, innovative approach because even my humble self, I'm a cardiovascular scientist. Today is the first time I'm hearing of CTEP, which is the chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension.
The inaugural lecturer, Professor Emejim, is my classmate. I'm part of the famous 1994 UNN class. We call ourselves the Phoenix. Interestingly, this lecture has made one great revelation. It has added to the diseases that we know women are peculiarly prone to. We know that, like I'm a teacher, what we teach our students, there's what we call the 5 Fs for gallbladder disease. I'm a gastroenterologist anyway. So fair, fat, female, 40, and fertile. So this is a known acronym we teach students. So we have now added the fact that women are also prone to pulmonary embolic disease in the lungs, predisposing them to pulmonary hypertension. Interestingly, I think we need to set up a screening program. Moving from what he has said today, I think most of us should actually have at least one cardiac ultrasound, which is echocardiography, once you hit 40 years.
It's to create awareness of this all-important disease condition called pulmonary hypertension. As he said, the pulmonary circulation, that's the lung circulation, is hidden from the sight. But when you are measuring the BP in the arm, you are measuring the systemic circulation. And what he's telling us that 2 of them can suffer hypertension. And hypertension can lead to problems. And one of the problems, as he said, we can be sudden death, because if you don't treat it, it will continue. It doesn't regress. It will continue until the person is buried.
You know, very intelligent young man, very humble. You know, once you see him, you just fall in love with him. And then subsequently in life, he became my doctor. You know, so once he picks up his phone and says, can I come and see you? Will you come for my inaugural lecture? Oh, I ran and came, because he is a good man.
Well, this is a very eye-opening lecture, and he has done serious work with respect to this prevalence amongst ladies, and he said beautiful ladies. We're yet to find out why it is mainly beautiful ladies that are involved, but I will talk about the imaging. The imaging is very revealing. You find out that the doctor who made the diagnosis that made him clinch the distance is a radiologist like myself. You know, that is where we specialize and measure. And it is quite eye-opening to know that such conditions are prevalent here also. But by the time he went to Louvain in Belgium, he didn't know that such conditions were also prevalent here.
The 204th inaugural lecture at the University of Nigeria marked a significant milestone in medical practice, shedding light on new aspects of pulmonary hypertension.
No specific causes per se, you understand? So that's why one needs to be what? If you like he said, if you don't look for something, you don't find it. So you need to look for it in that age group. Once somebody comes to see you in that age group, you must look for it. If not, you won't find it.
Amongst dignitaries present at the events were the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Professor Batokolo, the Senator representing Enugu West in the National Assembly, Osita Ungu, represented by his media aide Lukumbo, and the traditional ruler of Abo in Udi local government area, Igwe Chike Onodugo, Charles Pius. The Nigerian Communications Commission has announced a temporary suspension of new license issuance to operators in 3 categories, including Mobile Virtual Network Operator License, Interconnect Exchange License, and Value-Added Service Aggregator License. The Commission, in a public notice posted on its X handle on Friday, said the temporary suspension is to enable a thorough review of several key areas of market saturation, competition level, and current market dynamics. The suspension, it said, it is in line with its powers under the Nigerian Communications Act 2003 to grant renewed licenses and promote fair competition. It, however, noted that the new directive does not affect pending applications, which would be considered based on merit. The telecommunications sector has been faced with numerous challenges in the recent past, raising concerns about sustainability and efficient service delivery amid ongoing economic challenges. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is warning against the use and abuse of the incumbency factor in the upcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who spoke at a meeting of the Interagency Consultative Meeting on Election Security in Abuja, underscored this responsibility of security agencies to ensure the enforcement of the law throughout the election period. Yakubu noted that a situation where a ruling party denied the opposition access to campaign spaces often resulted in a breach of peace. He appealed for security protection for both the personnel and materials that INEC would be deploying for the upcoming elections. The Edo State governorship election is scheduled for September 21st, 2024, while the Ondo State election will be held on November 16th, 2024. He also called on the security agencies to maintain vigilance over the electioneering process to prevent violent attacks and negative mobilization by political parties, candidates, and their supporters during campaigns. The Rivers State governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 elections, Dakuku Peterside, has charged Nigerian leaders to show genuine empathy for the plight of Nigerians. Peterside spoke at a crisis management workshop organized by the Department of Management of the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. Correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam witnessed the event.
Now, if there's a fire incident here, and there's an Ebola crisis, the contexts are not the same. Is that correct? Yes. So we're dealing with two different things. But both of them are crises. And if in this room right now, we are disagreeing on a method of doing things, that's crisis.
Peterside reviews that crisis is a part of the day-to-day experiences which should be managed consciously. He also charged leaders to equip themselves with relevant crisis management skills. Crisis, according to him, is a large-scale, unexpected, serious and negative developments that are likely to create instant chaos, if not well handled.
We are preparing the next generation of leaders from the UNN on how to lead not only during normal times, but in times of crisis, in times when there is uncertainty, there is volatility, complexity, and ambiguity. And to prepare them is to develop in them those competencies that are needed to lead and thrive during times of crisis.
Peterside, who was the former managing director of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, also spoke on mental health and need for people to keep calm during crisis.
I don't know if you know what they call a puzzle. You need to bring them together. You know that it comes in pieces. Is that correct? Now, it could be that you want to form an elephant. You bring the different pieces together until you see an elephant. You've now made sense of the situation.
The head of Department of Management at the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus, Professor Emmanuel Abuja, spoke on the reason for the leadership workshop.
So what we did actually was to take a cream of university lecturers, a management practice, management philosophy in change management, and bring them together to listen to somebody who has seen to two sides of the world. To be able to now, what we do actually is opinion sharing, opinion molding on how to become actual people who can effectively touch life, who can effectively manage crisis situations. Whether crisis over there will be there.
Some other participants took turns to critically examine the topic, bringing out its potential benefits to the public.
We are actually in Nigeria now where we have a lot of crises, and how can you learn how to resolve crises other than to be part of this particular lecture that will help you be able to know how to resolve and solve crises as managers.
The lecture exposed us to getting to understand the internal and the external context of our environment, which will get us to have the knowledge required and the competencies, as in the skills and the behaviors to put up in order to embrace or be able to fit into whatever crisis we might find ourselves.
A leader needs to be calm before taking decision. You need to have some minutes and meditate on what you want to do. And if possible, seek advice for immediate close people around you before you take that decision.
While crisis is generally seen as a negative factor surrounding every situation, it can also bring about positive changes if properly managed. In Enugu, Chinemerem Ikebunam for Signature TV News.
Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, has announced that the Student Loan Application Portal will open on May 24th, 2024. Managing Director of NEL Fund, Mr. Akintude Sawyer, who made the announcement, said the students can now access loans to pursue their academic aspirations without financial constraints through the portal. Sawyer, who said the portal provides a user-friendly interface for students to submit their loan applications, conveniently encouraged all eligible students to take advantage of this opportunity to invest in their future and contribute to the growth and development of the nation. He said the move is a significant milestone in the commitment of President Bola Tinubu to foster accessible and inclusive education for all Nigerian students. Remains of popular Nollywood actor Junior Pope laid to rest at Ukehe in Enugu State. Join us shortly. The remains of popular Nollywood actor John Paul Obunneme Ndowodo, popularly known as Junior Pope, have been committed to Mother Earth at his country home, Uwani-Abaka, Ukehe, in the Ibwetiti local government area of Enugu State. The Catholic Bishop of Nsukka Diocese, Most Reverend Godfrey Hona, who presided over the burial ceremony, admonished movie producers to desist from negative messages which he said was impacting negatively on the wider society.
And by the impressions they create. And sometimes there is too much vulgarity and negativity in the things they project. So the creativity of the human imagination should not be allowed to becloud the objectivity of truth, even in artistic representations.
The burial ceremony attracted mourners from all walks of life and who is who in the Nollywood industry. Details of the ceremony, as covered by correspondent Ebenezer Odo, will be brought to you in a subsequent package. The National Judicial Council, under the chairmanship of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has resolved to issue warning letters to Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court and Justice G.B. Brickings Okolosi of Delta State High Court. A statement by the Director of Information for the Council, Soji Oye, says Justice Ekwo has also been barred from being elevated to a higher bench for 2 years following his abuse of the discretionary power of a judge by wrongly granting an ex parte order in a suit between Juliet Ebere Nwadi Baka and 2 others, and Seplat Energy PLC and others. Justice G.B. Brickings Okolosi of Delta State High Court, on his part, is also issued a warning for failure to deliver judgment within stipulated period in Joseph Anene Okafor versus Skybank, after parties had filed and adopted their final written addresses. Justice Brickings Okolosi will also not be elevated to a higher bench for a period of 3 years, while Justice Amina Shehu of Yobe State High Court was cautioned for the issuing writ of possession conferring title of defendant in a suit when there was no subsisting judgment of any court to enable the judge issue such an order. The Council, at its plenary meeting held on the 15th and 16th of May 2024, considered 2 reports of its preliminary complaints assessment committees that considered 35 petitions written against judges of the federal and state high courts and decided to impanel 8 committees to further investigate the petitions and were found meritoriously by the committees. An Abuja Federal High Court on Friday dismissed a bail application filed by the detained Binance executive Tigran Gambaryan. Justice Emeka Nwite, in a ruling, held that Gambaryan would jump bail if the application is granted based on the evidence before him. However, the judge ordered for an accelerated hearing in the trial. Justice Nwite had on April 23rd fixed Friday for the ruling after counsel for the EFCC, Ekele Iheanacho, and Gambaryan's lawyer, Mark Modi, adopted their processes and argued their case against and for the bail plea. Justice Nwite had ordered the remand of Gambaryan in Okuje Correctional Center after he pleaded not guilty to the money laundering charges preferred against him by the EFCC. The EFCC had accused Binance Holdings Limited Gambrian and Nadim Anjawala, another agent of the company, of allegedly conspiring amongst themselves to conceal the origin of the financial proceeds of their alleged unlawful activities in Nigeria. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, and the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, COESU, have kicked against the growing trend of converting public colleges of education to universities. This was made known by the Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Soni Echono, and President of COESU, Dr. Smart Olubeko, during a 3-day national conference and workshop on digital technology and fundable research proposal organized by COESU in Abuja. Echono, who expressed dismay at the developments, questioned the rationale behind it when existing colleges of education are not producing enough teachers for primary schools in the country. He therefore urged federal and state governments to prioritize education at the basic level, even as he buttressed his arguments with Germany and Japan, where their teachers at the basic level earn more than their counterparts at the tertiary level. Adding his voice, Olubeko warned that there would be negative consequences if there are no colleges of education in the country, describing the move as a misplaced priority on the part of government. Dangote refinery has revealed plans to buy at least 24 million barrels of U.S. crude over the next year as it ramps up its processing capabilities. The $20 billion refinery has issued a term tender for the purchase of 2 million barrels a month of West Texas Intermediate Midland crude for 12 months starting in July, which amounts to 24 million barrels of crude in 1 year. The call for U.S. oil reflects Nigeria's struggle to lift its own crude production, which remains well below theoretically capacity, as well as Dangote's willingness to expand its productive capacity. Nigeria has not been able to meet its OPEC quota for at least 1 year. This is largely because of crude theft, aging oil pipelines, low investment, and divestments by oil majors operating in the country. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission released new draft rules last month that will compel its oil producers to sell crude to domestic refineries. World Health Organization raises concerns over lack of essential supplies in Gaza hospitals. Details in a moment. Welcome back. The United States has announced the unveiling of an air transport agreement with Nigeria. The Public Diplomacy Department of the U.S. Mission in Nigeria, which disclosed this on Friday in Abuja, said the agreement had provisionally been applied since 2000. The bilateral agreement establishes a modern civil aviation relationship between the two countries. The mission said that the agreement was consistent with the U.S. Open Skies international aviation policy, with commitments to higher standards of aviation safety and security. It recalled that the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Kurt Campbell, had earlier in April held a meeting with Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Ministry, during which they reiterated their commitment to a vibrant partnership to build a prosperous future for both nations. And the World Health Organization, WHO, said on Friday that the closure of Rafah crossing has put humanitarian workers in a difficult situation and that no medical supplies have been allowed into Gaza since May 6th. Rafah has been a main conduit pipe for humanitarian aid entering the enclave, medical supply routes and exit points for medical evacuees seeking treatment outside the besieged territory. Israel said it had taken operational control of the crossing, vowing that it would not compromise on preventing Hamas having any future role there. WHO spokesperson Tariq Jazaref said at a UN press briefing in Geneva that Gaza's medical system has virtually collapsed under Israeli bombardment. Gaza health authorities say the Israeli campaign has killed over 35,000 Palestinians and wounded over 75,000, with doctors complaining that they have to perform surgery including amputations without anesthetists or painkillers. French police in Rouen have shot dead an armed man who set fire to the city's synagogue. Interior Minister Gerald Damon and local officials said on Friday that the identity and motive of the attacker, who was carrying a knife and iron bar, were still unclear. France hosts the Olympic Summer Games in 2 months and recently raised its alert status to the highest level against a complex geopolitical backdrop in the Middle East and Europe's eastern flank. In 2016, Rouen was rocked by an attack later claimed by the Islamic State when a priest was killed with a knife during service in town of Saint-Tien-du-Rouvre in the southern parts of Rouen's urban zone. In sports, FIFA President Gianni Infantino told World Soccer's Congress on Friday that more needed to be done to tackle racism in the sports. He has therefore launched 5 pillars of action to combat it in Bangkok, which include rules and sanctions, action on the field, and potential criminal charges. Players can now raise their hands and cross their wrists so that the referee is made aware of a racist incident. The 3-step procedure currently adopted by FIFA involves the referee requesting a public announcement to call for such behavior to cease, suspending the match until it stops, and in some scenarios, abandoning the match altogether. FIFA is also pushing for racism to be recognized as a criminal offense in every country in the world and for cases involving soccer to be prosecuted where legislation is already in place. FIFA will also look into developing and promoting educational initiatives with schools and governments while it's establishing an anti-racism panel composed of former players. And that's Signature TV News this hour. Thanks for watching. Good day.